Many thanks for joining us on Joy Asonye this beautiful evening. We are back again to discuss national issues, and today we'll be focusing on how we can achieve youth inclusion in the new administration. As you must have remembered, in the build-up of the political party primaries and the general elections, we saw youth bodies and youth organizations across the country campaigning and advocating for political parties to give concession to young people who are vying for public offices. Well, how did that go? We have seen how the elections eventually went, but no doubt we saw more young people contest and vie for political positions. How did it go at the end of the day? We'll be discussing all of this with my guest, who is already seated, Comrade Duke Alamboye. He's the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, and the National Secretary, Nigeria Youth Organization. It's wonderful to have you join us this evening.
Thank you very much, Joy. Good evening. Yeah.
Good evening to you too. I mean, we saw, let's appraise the conduct in the build-up of the primaries and the general elections. But we must also applaud the fact that we saw 26-year-olds clinching the state houses of assembly we have in Ogun State and Kwara State. But that's just a small number compared to the kind of advocacy we saw, especially from your youth organization. So let's go back and start with appraising the conduct of it and the campaigns and advocacy that went to it. Do you think political parties actually helped out in the sense and gave you, the youth constituency, that much needed help?
Well, let me first of all, like you rightly said, congratulate even the youths that adhere to the calling for our participation in politics, full participation in politics. Just sooner after the NSAS saga, it was became very more interesting that we have to really pull our weight collectively this time around to see how we can participate and be part of the political process. This time around, not just being part of the process as regards being used as tools or whatever to perpetrate the vices of political process, but to contest and franchise our rights to choose our leaders, and at points that we feel that we have the capacity and capability to contest, we did. And I want to thank the political parties and the empires for giving us that concession. Looking into our call, we saw most of the political parties fielded young persons as their candidates. So many young Nigerians emerged as candidates in various political parties. And downline the election proper, we have issues, and these are the issues we're still crying, and these are the issues we're still going to cry further. The cost for running election became a little bit handicapped, made us a little bit handicapped. Our constituency made us a little bit handicapped that some of us could not really participate because there were lots of financial involvement in running elections, lots of because of the hardship in the country. So many persons are looking at the immediate benefit they will derive from voting a particular candidate, such that you will see your opponents, when perhaps is running for the second term or so, making frantic efforts, spending money, reaching out to people,
monies that the young people do not have.
Yeah, these are the issues. Yeah, monies that the young people that have decided just presently to run in this race do not have such money. Compared to the ones that have spent first term in governance, and they are still running to gain back powers. And these are the issues we faced. And understanding the political terrain, we're also faced with issues of insincerity, the embodiment of insincerity elections. Some of us went to election, some of our youths went to election with open mind, thinking that election is all about talking to the people, convincing them, letting them know what you ought to, you intend to do in the constituency, in the state, or whatever. But this was not also the case. We also now have known that there is the aspect of security, there's the aspect of even having the attention of the empires, that is INEC. So these are the
okay. You know, we would unbundle these one at a time, but I would like us to start with what you just mentioned. It's like a lot of the young people who went into these elections were a little naive as to what is really required of them. Like you said, it went beyond having to discuss and have town meetings with those you want to lead.
Exactly.
There are several other stakeholders. So would you say that the lessons were learned at this point?
Yes.
Or you would see more disappointment? Because I know we have been over, especially in the media, talking about how young people should take up these roles. Do you think we would see more people charged up to get into the race again, or they would, having gotten their fingers burnt, maybe sit back?
No. I think what will happen is, the election processes are still on, because most of the political parties are in court. We expect that in the next 2 or 3 months, I think there's a time frame to these litigations, it will end. And at the aftermath of this will make us go back and restudy. But most frontally, what we've seen now is that a lot needs to be done as regards costs for running election, so that people that are capable and competent will not slide back or backslide, because the feeling or the feelers we get from this election is that you need to have money. You need to, yes, be very buoyant to induce or psych the IQ of voters before you can be voted for. Because, and I will not blame the electorates thus far, because there's hardship. At the time there was no currency during the election, someone could offer just a raw cash of new notes and people jump at it. These are the issues. So many people that have entered, so many youths that entered into this race faced. So these are not things.
I was actually hoping you would get personal. I was hoping you would get a bit personal with that. I mean, you ran elections in 2019, and we saw how that went. You didn't succeed. You failed in your elections. Don't mind me, I'm just being a little mischievous. you did not emerge winner in that elections. I'm sure you learned lessons. However, some people expected that people like you, young people like you who have tried the first time, would try again come 2023, but we didn't see that happen. Yes, are we going to see more people like you who failed and decided it's not business for me any longer?
When I ran election, the scenario, the condition, and the effects of when I ran election to these 2023 elections were quite different. When I ran election, it was more tedious, where a lot of irregularities is characterized by the electoral process. This time around, we had a more refined electoral process. The laws tried to determine the fate of the election, but it went the other way around, where Nigerians, some very, very hard Nigerians, had also studied the process and came up with also other ways of undermining the smooth running, free, fair, and smooth running of the elections. So there are two different scenarios. What I think will be done, I didn't run election because of personal reasons this time around, not because I was deterred by after all, the electoral process was
you could not afford the funds.
The electoral process was made. No, I had to take a decision from moving from the political party I belong to the PDP. So this, you know, when you join a new party, you have to now wait for your turn or something like that. So we supported very young Nigerian youths that ran under that umbrella, and they all won the election. Like somebody like Major Jack in my constituency, somewhere like the governor-elect of Rivers State is also a young man, Sim Fobra, and so on. In the country, we supported all of them and did our own part to who we feel that should be at the aim of affairs. So what I'm saying now is that it will not totally deter, because we are determined. The future they say that is in our hands is long begun, and we've been co-opting ourselves to ensure that collectively, how do we face this cankerworm that is pushing us aback when it comes to governance in our country. So we will not be deterred, but Joy, I can assure you that we're going to come up with more advocacies. Most importantly, the cost for election. It has to be legitimized, such that it will not be meaningful. You know that you're running an election, you need 1 million to run when you are running for state assembly, when you're running for governorship, these things should be spelled out so that everybody goes in an equal rank.
Okay,
so
now let's talk about
what is happening now is that people are faded out before even the election ends. I have a friend that ran. He was very popular, but immediately his opponents came to the place. It was like, you know, he faded off because of heavy level of financial inducement. Okay,
so you admit that financial inducement characterized the conduct of the 2023 elections.
That
has been noted. But I want us to go back to the cost of nomination forms. It is a new administration is going to come on board in 2 months, and the question is, are we putting young people in the youth constituency? Are they doing more just to ensure that political parties are being held on their necks to ensure young people would be given better concession? I ask this because I remember conversations arrive only when it is close to a political party. And there's an adage that says that if only young people in Nigeria know that they have the table, they won't even be talking about shaking the table. The minute young people in Nigeria stand up, the table is down. So you have the power. Are you gearing up once again to go take up these petitions with political parties and ensure that we don't see this happen again? We see better concession and a policy for political parties, intentional policy that would ensure young people do run and have the support from political parties.
Yes, I think that is the way, that is the right way we will go. You can bear with me that we started our advocacy for inclusiveness in politics when we started the Not Too Young to Run bill, eventually passed to law. So from then, you know, we have to drag it. We started the advocacy, talking to the political parties, ensuring that our voices are heard, and to a greater extent, we recorded good achievements, good level of achievement in that. So the next phase, after all said and done, when everybody is sworn in and the government is formed, the first advocacy we're going to try to look at is how to minimize the high cost of nomination forms. That is the starting point, because it deters, it has a way it deters so many persons that are capable and willing to run, but they're not able to purchase those forms because of the high cost of the forms. Yes, I know that political parties have their strategy. They do not want everybody to, every Tom, Dick and Harry to buy form, but I think it's also a legitimate process where primaries will be held. So it doesn't matter how many persons or who at what level is buying a form. They have their strategies of screening, they are sieving those members, process, and getting one correct. So this is where we're going to really start from and see that we approach the legislation to ensure that we cry out loud so that these things will be minimized, so that our youth constituency will be fully involved in the next maybe 2027 general elections.
Would you want to contest, having gone to this new political party and watched how it has unfolded? You've watched an election in this new political party. Personally speaking, now, yes, is there something you're considering? Are you going to contest for elections come 2027?
Before I will talk about contesting election, I will have to look at the wave. Like I told you last time, in my own constituency, where I come from, Akukutoro, we have laid down a working plan that is working well. We have the Asonye in my constituency and we have the upland. So I think Powers is presently the Asonye candidate of the PDP. He is doing his second tenure. I thank God I'm in the PDP now. I will follow his activities. I will ensure that he is doing things right. I will ensure that...
What political position is this?
River State House of Assembly.
Are you okay?
Yeah, so I'm looking at that, and then again the House of Representative is also there. I'm aged enough, I'm knowledgeable enough, I'm strengthened enough. So my political activities within these 4 years or 3 years to the election will tell me when, if or not, I will contest for any political position.
But in four years, would you still consider yourself a Nigerian youth?
That's
Don't
what
you think it will be time to say younger people should take over?
My age is still in Nigeria contest. My age is still within that. But we're talking about contest. So in 4 years, I should be out of youthful activity. Sorry, youth activities
or youth constituency.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about,
like an elder statesman. Would you support a younger person?
Joe, I'll be talking about moving directly into governance and participating fully. So within these 3 years, I'll be busy helping the party, helping the present government to see how we can make name in our state, in our constituency. I'm going to follow up the two constituency members, Honorable Major Jack and the Honorable Barrister Lolo, to ensure that we bring up good faith, because it is on that premise that anybody that is taking over from them can springboard and then make sure you have victory in elections. So these are the areas one is looking at, and we are very sure that people are aware that the positions they hold now is for them to work fervently, work very sincerely, so that people will vote for you. Because I also understand that politicians, the money they spend for election is bitter, so that when they enter power, when they get into power, they want to regain or replenish themselves of the huge expenditure they've made during election. So I think the best way to boycott all of this is also, we are also going to, in addition to calling for the reduction of cost for election, call it on good governance. We're going to really run programs within these 3 years, programs that will border on bad leadership, so that everybody at every starter that is holding on to a political position, we know that it is not just to come and sit there, make money, and prepare yourself again for the next 4 years and say you want to get a ticket for another term or tenure, or changing your political standard. So these are things we're going to really put our strength in to do, as I also bow out of
the youth constituency.
Yeah.
Okay, unlike you, another factor that often holds young people back is the experience. And in this, I do not necessarily mean they should attain all the experiences needed, considering they are that young. But you started from grassroots to grow in your political journey. Do you think young people have learned that lesson? Because it kind of held back several of them. Mentorship. I'm not talking about mentorship I'm talking about participating now, from the grassroots.
Yes, one of the methods where we can gain experience in governance, even in leadership, not only governance, in leadership. Some people are self-made, some people, they have the charisma to lead, so that when such leadership position is given to them, you see them doing it right. Mostly when they have a guide called the Constitution or guidelines and all of that, you see them doing it right. Secondly, being in acquaintance with the issues. When people are put in place of leadership, they often think it's palatable. It's not always palatable. What is palatable there is the height. If not, everything about leadership is burdened, such that you begin to acquaint yourself with the issues. As a leader, we are there to solve issues, provide solutions, accommodate different kind of person's issues around you. So it's not an easy task. One of the way we will get this thing right is new dispensation is coming in, new governors are coming in, a new president will emerge by May, new everything. The 8 years of President Muhammad Buhari will be a thing of a past. So that is why you saw the level of participation in terms of contest, in terms of voting. The Nigerian youth gave in their weights. As disappointed as we are in some strata of the elections, we want to still encourage us to gain positions. Those persons that have won elections should please think back in appointing youth to start understanding the real essence of governance. This is one major way we can achieve that. So it's also a clarion call that ministers want to see ministers, youthful ministers want to see youthful special assistance to government.
We'll get to that conversation.
So,
but for now,
so the experience you're talking about,
right.
Yes, some people have gained it naturally, running through the process. Some are yet to gain it because they need to anchor into positions of responsibility to ensure that they test their morale and ability to contest. One thing when the elections were going on, one very large argument we used to have within our colleagues, the obedience would have said that no, Obi had run as governor. He has led his state for, I think, 2 terms or something, and he has the capacity. Others will say, no, Atiku has been at the corridor of power, national politics, and as such, it fits him to run. Other school of thought again said, Asiwaju has run Lagos, and as an example, continuity in Lagos till today. And we've seen the vast development and benefits of democracy enshrined in Lagos. So these are attributes of experiences, allowing these persons to have run in an office. So the experience they've garnered in those times is telling. And this is what the Nigerian youths will be calling for as the new dispensation come on board.
Okay, now let's talk about the violence that erupted after all the advocacy, the awareness and campaigns and all of that. We still saw violence characterized our elections, and it was quite unfortunate because we were quite reassured with the signing of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, and the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system. We did not find, a lot of people did not anticipate that there would be people who would want to truncate the seamless process of the elections by using violence. However, while these young people who took up arms to go scatter this polling unit and the electoral process were probably most likely mobilized by maybe older political actors, they accepted, which was what your advocacy was before now. You joined the let's vote not fight campaign. You had several engagements with young people. Are you disappointed at the way it eventually turned out, as young people were used to still perpetrate violence during our election process?
Yes, before I take on that, let me put it as a point of fact that the level of violence we witnessed in 2020 election was minimal to a fact of it. Yet, we were not advocating. Our advocacy was not magical. It was just an appeal to our constituency. We also know that not everybody will adhere to what we were talking about. And this is as a result of immediate gains. If not, I don't know why at the time when it was eminent that people should go and vote, what would have counted in this election was your participation in voting, franchising, voting and be voted for. People will still resort to, politicians will still resort to hiring boys to disengage clear and free running electoral process in units, wards, and whatsoever. These are weak politicians that do not have the clouds or the capacity to win.
However, I want you to address the fact that these young people did accept to.
Yeah, I'm going there. Take up this. I'm going there. Joy. In business law, if I can get it right, the offeree and the what they call
the recipient.
Yeah, the offeree and the beneficiary.
The offered.
Yeah, they are the same. They are the same. You have the intentions. You sold it to the next person, and for benefit gains or benefits or gains, the other person had accepted. So they are all the same thing. What I'm saying is that these ideas of disrupting, getting our elections violent starts from the man that owns the money, that is aware that this man needs this money, so I can actually influence his conscience to go the other way around, knowing that the system do not allow that at the moment. So when you go and gather hoodlums that that are youths that are suffering, that are violent in nature, to perpetrate this evil, you already boost their morale to engaging them, do what they know best, instead of talking them out of it to say, please, where are your PVCs? I saw in Rivers State, with due respect, when the governor of Rivers State said he was going to employ 400,000 youths as essays. It's strategic. It's a way of calling out youths out of violence. Rather, for you to be employed at that level is to go and get your PVC. So you saw lots of youths resorting to go and get their PVC so that they can become essay to the governor at the time. These are strategies
Comrade,
the governor used.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you keep going to Rivers State.
Yes,
when you know what really transpired, you're talking about the governor employing 200,000 essays, and while you know that it is not it's not sustainable, it's not achievable to actually have those essays active. I'm not sure how this is taking them out of unemployment, like you just laid right.
Yes. When you employ, we slimline and limit these things to our whips and caprices. That's what we think. When you employ an essay, the job of an essay is to advise. Is to take up. Sorry, I'm coming.
Insulted?
I'm coming.
You don't feel insulted.
Now, I'm not using it. I didn't cite it. Listen, I didn't cite it at the expense of elevating poverty. I'm citing it as an instance of moving away from violent politics at the moment that we're going for election. Don't forget that
a lot of other people felt like they were being mobilized so that they could even perpetrate this violence. It was like a log. It was like a log, knowing that I have 200,000 people.
It was made clear for you to have that appointment. Whatever the governor wants to use it for. Where I'm striving to is there was a condition. This condition now was not go and carry gun, go and carry whips, but have your PVC. We also advocated for people to go and register and get their PVCs.
Right.
So we can also say this is one of the methods the governor had used. I'm not saying that I was not a part of his intention why he did that, but what I'm saying is that at a very given percentage, it reduced. Let's digress.
Let's digress.
In the entire country,
right?
Alamboye, let's
the level of
violence. The level of violence was reduced.
Do you think that the governor had the time to get the many advice that 200,000 people would have gone?
Joy,
in
I told you. I'm still saying that.
I'm asking.
I don't know the intention. I was not a part of his cabinet.
Okay.
I was not part of the system, but I'm saying that in a large extent, don't forget, he also have the right to have employed persons to perpetrate violence in the state.
Right? You said the right.
He has the capacity, rather than say right. He has the capacity, but this time around, the condition that was given is go get your PVC. I'm moving away from a domesticated violence election to a safer and violence-free election. So many people use so many strategies to get ones to do. But we still sadly get angered to our youths that resorted to violence during these elections, and even the politicians that engaged them to perpetrate this violence where it was not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, elections are over, and the new administration is coming on board in a couple of months. So what is the youth constituency positioning itself so that they can get more from this government and hold the government to the action plan that was initially given to Nigerians before the president-elect was elected? We'll go for a short break and return so my guests can answer all these questions. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. Now, as we've been discussing how we can achieve youth inclusion in the new government, and we had gotten the conversation to where youth are positioned properly to hold this government accountable for the promises made during campaigning. And we still have Comrade Alamboye, the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, and the National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization, with us, who would be answering some of these questions. Are youth positioned properly to hold this government by their necks to ensure that all that was promised for the youth constituency is in fact delivered?
Well, yeah. We are well positioned and we're prepared. We've followed up the process from the beginning to the ending. Some of the cases, some of the results of the elections are in court, like the presidential election. So we're keenly watching at what the judiciary will come up with, and that is going to be the determinant of which of the political parties that will be in power.
Right.
So that is that. We've also seen the what they call governorship elections concluded, and we are going to be very, 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 very interested to know who becomes what in terms of appointments, commissioners, SAs, SSAs, and all of that. We also have the senators. We also have the House of Assembly, House of Rep members, and all of them need aides and persons to work with them. This is the time they should hire and appoint youths so that they can begin to experience the process of governance. we will be going into such advocacy and call. But once, I think by tomorrow or so, they are giving a certificate of returns to them, and May, at most, end April, place would have been set for appointments and every other thing that will form the government. We're still going to advocate very well. I'm going to still call on my fellow leaders to talk more on reasons why so many politicians should be eliminated this period.
Eliminated?
Yes, what I'm by eliminated is...
Okay, I would like you to...
Yes, what I'm by eliminated is...
Right.
They've served best, they've given their best. They should now go into advisories.
Right.
We don't want to see most of these politicians that have said 30, 40 years in politics. They should retire.
They should retire.
Yes, and let...
That's a very interesting... That's a very interesting way of putting it.
Young persons begin to emerge and taste and experience governance,
right,
the process of governing entails. So this is what we're going to do apparently as we follow up the stages. Of course, immediately after the confirmation by ENEC, and they'll begin to transit into the new government, handing over and all of that. People will be set to give appointments and all of that. We need more advocacy. We need more youths to start coming up the way we came out, to start talking of even our participation in governance. We want to see young people as commissioners. We want to see young people as SSAs, young people coming out as judges in the state, and begin to change the modes of operations at all strata, judicial level, legislative level. We want to see the legislation very active, not dependent on the executive. We want to see executives' proactiveness in dishing out the dividends of democracy to the people as it is required. So it's only young people that are very vibrant and knowledgeable, capable and strong, firm in achieving a set goal ahead of them that can make this work. So this is what we want to see around in the country, to stimulate again, bring up the economic activities, to reduce the level of restiveness in the country, and ensure that we are all hands are going to be on deck. When we see more youths participate in governance, it will be interactive, it will be more interesting, and it will be more progressive.
Okay, I want us to start from the sacrifices. There's something about politics. I'm not sure. I can't remember how it's often said now, but it just goes to the kind of support you get determines where you are put in, meaning that during electioneering, we see older politicians and political actors and stakeholders, they seem to be more supportive. They seem to give their candidates more leverage, sort of, to attain where they want to get to, as against the young people in that regard. Do you think that then would get this appointment you are talking about? Some might find it hypocritical if young people are not putting their feet forward in supporting a candidate, and when that candidate emerges, you expect the candidate to just dash out such appointments to younger people. Because as we have noticed in Nigerian politics, it's a case of following who follow you, basically.
So like my governor was saying, in the bar, do for me, I do for you.
Exactly.
I think that's what we mean. Now, that is why when younger people come into governance, for instance, governorship, the post of governorship, it have its way of eliminating some level of persons. Sorry again, I'll go by my state, because that's where I'm more involved. For instance, now, His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, is leaving office, and today we are seeing a younger person in the history of our country, a younger person also coming up to take it. I'm sure this will be practiced more in my state, because you do not expect those older persons or those categories of persons that have served with the governor for 8 years will be reappointed,
right,
to serve in this new dispensation. This is not what we want to see. Irrespective that in your language they've aided every other persons to emerge in whatever position they emerge in, governorship, senatorial positions,
political strata.
But now, because of their experience, long-term experience, age, and looking at the new set of people that are on board, it will not be too it will be too provocative to say those persons want to come back to power, to come and serve again. No, this is the time they have to now nominate younger persons to serve with that.
Isn't this the reason why younger people are often left at the back burner of issues? Because
yes,
there's a like it said, power is not served a la carte. You must have worked for it. And yes. So if you sit here to now say that...
Joy, when they say power is a la carte, you must work for it, does not also take away the fact that it is transit. You cannot quickly uproot leadership and say you want to take leadership. You will have to cut in gradually and get it right. At the time you're cutting gradually, it will also give you the sense of belonging. That, let me tell you one good thing that has happened in my state. The governor, the person that I've elected as governor-elect is quite younger and a little bit not far into politics. So he's bringing technocrats to governance, with him to governance. That is looking at governance at the level of pure development. He has been a civil servant for years. He's going to look at governance at
I'm happy level. You said the sorry, because you can know you can already know. I want to interject.
Yes.
When you say technocrats, these are people who did not necessarily get their hands dirty with the electioneering that brought him to this stage.
We're talking about
as governor-elect. Is that what you're saying? That he's going to form his government around technocrats, not necessarily.
He's going to form his government around young, vibrant, forward-looking youths in the states.
Okay.
It is his position, his charisma, his level will eliminate some very good old politicians in the state. And
despite the support and sacrifices.
That is what I'm saying. Now, but in getting those younger persons, we will need the contribution, the assessments of these older people we're talking about.
Right.
So that they help shift the persons that will become commissioners, the persons that will become essays,
and not the people who would be loyalists, because that's what we often see.
Of course, politics is loyal. Joy, you can't take that away from politics.
I agree.
So your loyalty does not mean that if you're loyal with a coconut head, you'll be accepted. You must be loyal with value. So
who's to say that? Who's to say this is the standard for competence?
Nominations will come. Joy, we have over how many millions Rivers people? All of them are going to go. All of us are not going to be in government. But there will be shivers, there will be nominations, there will be screening, there will be thorough in this thing. Of course, you don't also expect Governor Wike has set a pace. So we are all looking at Sim Fobra to take it from there, do better than him. Subsequently, for him to do better than that, he must have a combination of experts, a combination of people that are concerned in such diplomatic activities to move on. The same thing will apply in every state. I give it to Lagos. At all the time, I make Lagos as an example, because this is what they've master planned themselves, and the master plan, what I want to say, it has been in the lineage of Ahmed Tinubu or not. Of course, it is giving dishing out the good governance, and at every time any government is going, you're seeing new thing that come up in Lagos. So this is what River State, every other state, 36 states, and the FCT should be looking at. How to eliminate bad leadership.
Right.
How bring it on board youths that are very vibrant and ready to move this country forward. Want to see a 30-something-year-old boy, 20-something-year-old girl becoming the what they call Minister of Finance, Minister of Youth, and whatever.
Right.
So that we can bring out our youthful experience and capability, warm spirit to move our country forward.
Let's talk about how positioned young people are, because when you look at youth organizations,
this question keep me aback. How positioned, how else will Nigerian youth be positioned? We were all alive.
You need to let me land.
We were all alive at the time.
If you just let me land, you will get where I'm going.
We were alive. We witnessed the military administration. Joy, we witnessed the First Republic. We witnessed the Abiola.
Then you're no longer a youth. Let's talk about
how long
people
became youths, and even left youthful became men. So we're still talking about how prepared.
Comrade, if you've experienced all you've said, then you're not a youth. Let's talk about young people right now who you have just mentioned positions that young people should start eyeing, and how governor-elects right now should ensure and endeavor to give those positions to young people. My question is, if hypothetically this doesn't go your way, do you think you have the strength enough to walk into this or petition this government, or
it's
what are you going to do? How are you positioned to ensure that it happens?
Yes, if this doesn't, it's not also mandatory.
Of course, it's not. This is just a moral.
It's a moral plea. Now, if it doesn't happen, we will see Nigerian youth will form a very strong opposition that will go against bad policies, bad governance in the country. So instead of giving appraisals and strengths to governance, we will be busy checkmating bad governance, bad policies, bad projects. Our country must be fine. It's two ways. Either we're involved or we're not involved, but we are positioned. We position ourselves to ensure that no, this is wrong, and more vocal. This is where we will also need the presence of the media, not to make caricature of our activities, but also streamline and put beams on our advocacy to see that yes, the youths are crying that this policy is not right for this state, this policy is not right for this nation, this activity is not right. That is where we're going to find ourselves.
You seem very optimistic. You seem very optimistic. My question, just allow me land, Comrade Duke Alamboye. You seem very optimistic. And I would like to ask, do you think that the youths who, I mean, we saw the wave of awareness that went into the general elections that was just conducted. I must applaud the work you've been doing over a couple of months ago. However, after this period that Comrade Duke Alamboye, after this period that we saw all of that, yes, and we also saw the apathy that happened during the governorship elections. A lot of, yes, apathy where a lot of Nigerians did not even come out to vote. I know in my state, Cross River State, we saw a governor emerge with just 200,000 votes. That's very sad for a state.
Very low, yeah.
That's very low for a state. We also saw pockets of situations like that across the country, and that is because, according to some speculators or some analysts, that they were disappointed by what they saw during the presidential, and so the Guba polls was characterized by this apathy. Are we now going to see young people who will not feel disappointed and then abandon governance or participation or disengagement that you seem very optimistic in the studio right now? Do you see young people actually charging up to hold governors and all political actors accountable and say, this isn't why we voted you in. We would like to rather have this development instead of this. This policy does not work for us. We want it like this. And do you know, are they really equipped with the information that is necessary to comport themselves well enough to seek this kind of redress when it doesn't go their way, or they do not perceive it to have national interest or community interest and so forth?
Yes, the Nigerian youths will be more positioned. I repeat, when they have not finding themselves in these areas, we feel that they should gain mentorship in governance. Like I've also said, it's not a must that it should happen that way. An instance that we're not getting it right, we cannot fight the government. It's a democratically elected government, but we will stand as a strong and firm opposition to ensure that we are talking. One thing that is lacking in the cause of our democracy is also criticism, constructive criticism. When a policy is bad, the ability to collate ourselves, get what they call them, civil society organizations, and talk more on the devil of that policies. Is not,
and not necessarily the column and the attack.
Yes, and the attack. Yes. And we've seen in time past, the awareness is high, Joy. And in time past, we've seen those advocacies, policies that are not favorable. You cannot. In time past, so many things were swept under the carpet. But you see people this time around trying to. The tribunals have not started sitting as regards election petitions, but you can see the level of advocacy. You can see the level of the way people are beginning to caution the activities, the supposed activities the judiciary is going to carry on, checking every news and cries to make sure that things will be tight. So these are the things we will engage ourselves to do it, and we will be sure that it's constructive, so that we don't offend what guides our country into a peaceful existence. But definitely, instead of going to programs to appraise or talk about inputs, we'll be talking about bad policies, we'll be talking about bad unwanted projects, we'll be talking about how to bring down those waste times and values and expenditures in governance.
Okay. Before I let you go, I would like us to discuss, should these young people, hypothetically speaking, governors are listening to us right now and indeed field younger people in their cabinet, or the president also feels way younger people in the cabinet, would you say that there is mechanisms enough to curtail what they do so that they do not give the younger people a bad name? Would your youth constituency that you believe is structured enough and is positioned properly, would it recall such people and speak truth to them in that regard?
Come again, please. I didn't get the question.
Should these young people get into this offices you have mentioned and they disappoint, are you structured enough to recall them? Would you be truthful enough to point at them? You just mentioned how you would be on your feet speaking against bad policies that will not benefit young people, will not benefit the nation or the community or the state. So would you also position well to recall or speak against those young people, or there's just a sentiment, as long as this person is young and is occupying a political position, nothing he does will be wrong? That will be wrong.
No, that's not the case. Well, for you to ascend or be appointed to any political party, any political position, there are functions for that such appointment. So definitely, you cannot override yourself. You cannot be a lone man in governance. What we'll be looking at is what are the activities of the government. If a state governor is appointed as a commissioner, it's expected that you have a role of job to be done within those appointed period. And if you feel that as a commissioner of works, you are not even having any input to do, it's also eminent on you to resign or to call on to say, look, this is what is going on wrong. So it will need the sincerity in people, not as if we're going to say that, well, we are saying that everything is going to be perfectly done, but it also needs the sincerity of people. Utmost good faith must be enshrined, and allowing the system. What we are saying basically is allowing the system to run fine with young people, so that we begin to grow from that strata. We're not saying that when young people comes, it's going to be whatever. It's not magical, but we want to see where young people are brainstorming to move our country faster into what our dreams are, as we've seen in developed countries. Young people come into power, and then before you know it, they've changed the modes of operation, changed financial status of the program of the country, and before you know, things are back on their space, because the youths constitutes larger percentage in a given country, and they understand the language they speak. They understand down what the needs of a growing country should be. I think this is just a clear call we have. It's not as though when you are appointed a commissioner and you're not doing well, of course the system will remove you itself. It will be eminent that you're not doing well. And the same call we are calling is the same call we're going to call to ensure that you're back to your foot or you're removed from whatever appointment you're given. Okay,
if I didn't know better, I would think you're positioning yourself to be called for an appointment. Could that be the case? Are you hoping to be appointed by maybe your state? You keep mentioning your state. Are you eyeing an appointment?
Well, presently I'm not eyeing an appointment. Elections are over. They will be scouting for people to appoint. If it comes to me, fine. But if it doesn't come, we'll still do a good job. But what I'm telling you is that I will be seriously involved in River State's governance and try to see how, because personally the governor-elect is a friend, and I know his potentials and I know his aspirations. I don't want to talk about that. Maybe next time when I come and talk about more programs SIM is having for my state, but I know that is somebody that have passion for moving the state forward, and that is why when he emerges, the principal had held him in high esteem, and is not going to fail Rivers people. So if appointment comes, good and fine. If it doesn't come, we still keep doing our good work.
Hypothetically speaking, if you have to point at where you would like to work and be more valuable, where would it be?
Good policies, enhancing good policies, executing good projects. So I don't know, but these are my projections.
Okay. Comrade Duke Alamboye, National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization, and the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, has been my guest this evening to discuss how we can achieve political inclusion in the new administration. My name is Joy Asonye. This is where we roll the curtains here on Joy Asonye Live. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a great evening.